Joe Biden, you'll recall when Donald Trump was president, of course, he hates the environment, as Republicans do. If you can't turn nature into cash, screw it, right? To hell with it. So the Tongass National Forest near Juneau, Alaska, is the largest intact temperate rainforest in the world. And Trump wanted to open it up for logging. It's 9.37 million acres of roadless area. And, it has, it's important to the Native Americans in the region. It is important to the hunters and farmers in the region. It's important. I mean, it's ecologically, it's very important to the region itself. And Trump wanted to just tear it apart. So Biden just reversed that. He's reinstated protections for that 9.37 million acres. God bless him. That's good stuff. Speaking of natural resources, this is the freak show of the people that Kevin McCarthy put on the House Natural Resources Committee that oversee things like the Tongass National Forest. First of all, we've got Republican Bruce Westerman of Arkansas. He's the new chairman of the Natural Resources Committee. The League of Conservation Voters gave him a 4% lifetime score. In other words, 96% of the time he votes against the environment and in favor of developers and things like that. In a 2017 interview with the Washington Examiner, a right-wing newspaper, he said, "I assume if climate's changing, it's changing in Arkansas as well as other places. So I did a little research and found out that the number of forest fires in Arkansas has actually decreased over the past 20 years. If climate change was causing more fires, we'd see a lot more of them than what's in the baseline." Well, gee whiz, Bruce Westerman. Could it be that Arkansas, instead of getting more drought, is getting more rain? I mean, climate change just because climate is changing doesn't mean that Arkansas is going to get California's weather necessarily. But apparently he's not bright enough to figure that out. In fact, he was a big fan of the Resilient Federal Forest Act. He introduced this piece of legislation back in 2017. It would have made clear-cutting forests easier and undermine environmental review, according to the Sierra Club. He also supports expanding leases of federal oil and gas, leasing oil and gas on federal lands, and has threatened the Department of Interior with funding cuts if they don't hold their lease sales more frequently. Then there's Garrett Graves of Louisiana. He's the committee's top donation collector from the oil and gas industry. He has noted that Biden is, quote, ushering in a Soviet-style state with his climate policies. All right, that's the number 2 guy on the committee. Number 3 is Paul Gosar of Arizona. He blasted Pope Francis for his socialist talking points. By the way, apropos of the caller that I had at the very end of the last hour who was saying, it's against, the homosexuality is against the Bible. The Pope just came out yesterday and said that we should embrace our gay brothers and sisters, and that I don't have his exact language in front of me, but I encourage you to look it up and get the exact language. But that was a big deal. So anyhow, back to Paul Gosar. He blasted the Pope for his socialist talking points, in which the Pope said one of the principal challenges facing humanity in our day is the climate crisis. Gosar said if the Pope wants to devote his life to fighting climate change, then he can do it on his own personal time. Right, like Paul Gosar is running the Vatican. And then there's Lauren Boebert, the conspiracy nut, who tweeted that climate activist Greta Thunberg is, quote, the world's least favorite teenage eco-terrorist. And then there's land use attorney Harriet Hageman, who likes to talk about exporting clean coal. She noted on a radio show, the quote, the federal government under Joe Biden and radical Democrats are intent on taking over and federalizing our private property rights under the auspices or claim of combating climate change. This is a UN-driven, unlawful land grab that would be devastating to the economy in this country and dramatically alter the very nature of private property rights and who and what the United States is. Right. As Meteor Blades notes over on Daily Kos, cue the black helicopters. Accountable U.S. says that Republican members of the committee have already taken over $4 million in campaign donations from the oil and gas industry. Of the Republicans, this is from Accountable U.S., of the Republicans on the committee, 5 outright oppose federal public lands. This is the committee that has oversight over federal lands. Most have demonstrated support for election denial, and all have supported policies to expand industry-friendly federal leases to big oil and other extractive sectors. Several have personal financial conflicts of interest in the form of either spousal employment or stock holdings. Your Republican Party at work.